Mr. Chu, AB 35.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and colleagues. I appreciate your consideration of AB 35, a bill that would increase our state's affordable housing tax credit by $300 million for the construction and rehabilitation of affordable housing, which would also allow us to leverage an additional $600 million for federal funds that otherwise would not come to California. I want to first thank Speaker Tony Atkins, who is our joint author on this and a longtime affordable housing champion, as well as the Housing Committee for their unanimous and bipartisan support. And also at the outset, I want to thank the committee consultants' work on this bill. We accept the technical amendments proposed by this committee. I do understand there is one technical amendment regarding the definition of deeply targeted households, and we are waiting feedback from the Treasurer's Office. We'll continue to work with the committee staff on this. What we are trying to address with this bill is the fact that our state is in the midst of an affordable housing crisis. We have a shortfall of 1.5 million affordable homes. I introduced this bill on December 1st as the first bill that I proposed because San Francisco, my city, we have the most expensive rents in the country, where 60% of low-income residents spend over half their paychecks on rent, where thousands of residents have been evicted or forced to move out. But we all know this is not just a San Francisco problem. There isn't a single county in California with enough affordable rentals for working families. Our state has 13 out of the 14 least affordable metropolitan areas in the country, 21 of the least affordable cities in the country. This is a crisis that is driving poverty and income inequality. Since 2000, our state's median incomes have fallen by 8%, while rental prices have soared by 21%. We live in a state that includes about 10% of our U.S. population, but 20% of our country's homeless, 500,000 homeless children, 1.5 million families who don't have access to an affordable home. We all know, colleagues, that when our state eliminated redevelopment, we reduced affordable housing funding by over $1.5 billion. And the current $70 million of state low-income housing tax credits has been completely oversubscribed. At the same time, we have a 4% federal low-income housing tax credit that's untapped by the state, but needs state resources to access. AB 35, as I said, would increase our state's low-income housing tax credit by $300 million. It would increase the state credit percentage from 13% to 50%, which would leverage an additional $600 million of federal funds. The funds could be used to rehabilitate our most vulnerable affordable housing that houses our lowest income residents. This is a bill that will facilitate a public-private partnership to help create a consistent stream of funding, and it would create thousands of more jobs and affordable housing annually. I want to thank the over 150 organizations that are in support of this, including the Nonprofit Housing Association of Northern California, the California Housing Partnership, as well as the California Housing and the California Housing Consortium. We have a number of witnesses today who I'll turn over to right now.
Great. Your first witness.
Thank you so much. My name is Megan Kirkaby. I'm the Policy Director for the California Housing Partnership. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on AB 35. California Housing Partnership is a 25-year-old state-created nonprofit. We are dedicating to helping cities, local governments, housing authorities, and nonprofits to build and preserve affordable housing. And over the past 25 years, we've used our policy assistance and financial expertise to help leverage $6 billion in public and private capital, as well as provide 10,000 people with training around affordable housing finance. We are in strong support of AB 35 for all of the three great purposes that it achieves, not only increasing the state low-income housing tax credit by $300 million, which is an extremely high-functioning program, one of the best in the country. It'll also update the way that that credit is used so that we can access the 4% credit. You heard the Assembly member speak about this, but this is a practically unlimited resource that we leave on the table. We use half of the 4% credits that we did in 2006 because while it is practically unlimited, it's less valuable than our limited 9% federal resource that we have access to. And it needs state and local funding to help us use that resource. It also has a third function that is very valuable. It'll help SROs, rural housing projects, and deeply targeted projects that are in need of rehabilitation and preservation because they're older properties with low appraisal values that otherwise would not be able to refinance. So altogether, these changes mean thousands of new units every year of affordable housing in every corner of the state, and new federal resources coming to the state. You have a handout, I believe, with more detail, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Lane.
Michael Lane with the Nonprofit Housing Association Northern California, also in strong support of the bill and also available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Lane. Anyone else in support?
Mr. Chairman, members, Dan Carrick on behalf of the League of California Cities in support.
Jason Lane, California Bankers Association, in strong support.
Mr. Chairman and members, Tony Gonzalez on behalf of the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce in support of the bill.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Kiana Buss on behalf of the California State Association of Counties in strong support.
David Jones on behalf of the City of Sacramento in strong support.
Kathy Christian for the Board of Supervisors of Berrien County, struggling to build affordable housing. Appreciate the bill. Strong support.
Erin Mercer-Niehaus with the United Ways of California, representing 34 local United Ways across the state, in strong support.
Tiffany Whiten on behalf of Bridge Housing and the Infill Builders Federation, in support. Thank you.
Silvio Ferrari with the California Building Industry Association support. I've also been asked to weigh support for the California Chamber of Commerce, who has made this a job creator bill.
Marina Wyatt with the California Housing Consortium in support.
Sophia Sadat here on behalf of the City of Santa Ana, Oakland, Emeryville, Tulare, and City of South San Francisco in strong support.
Steve Wallach on behalf of Habitat for Humanity California and the Alameda County Board of Supervisors in support.
Kim Lewis representing Aspirinet, which serves over 1,000 transition-age youth out of foster care every year, and the California Coalition for Youth, which serves runaway and homeless youth, providers in the state, both in support for your most vulnerable populations. Thank you.
Sylvia Solisha on behalf of City of Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti in strong support, and also on behalf of the City of Santa Monica in support. Thank you.
Karen Lang on behalf of Mayor Edwin Lee in the City and County of San Francisco in strong support. The author made all the points I would have made, so thank you. Or do I vote? Thank you.
Michael Radigan on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, Santa Clara County, in support.
Tyrone Buckley on behalf of Housing California, also in strong support.
Patrick Sablehouse on behalf of the California Council for Affordable Housing in support. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone in opposition? Okay, going back to the committee. Any committee comments or questions? Okay, seeing none. Appreciate the author for bringing this, I think, very important bill forward. And with that, you want to close?
I respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you. So without objection, we'll be placing AB 35 on suspense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Jones Sawyer, file item 4, AB 337.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Let me start by stating that we have recently prepared amendments for AB 337 that specifies that this bill's goals and performance measurements pursuant to Revenue Tax Code Section 41, and which incorporates the implementation of considerations recommended by the Franchise Tax Board. We plan to amend the bill before the suspense hearing. AB 337 will allow K-12 teachers in their first 3 years of consecutive service at public and private schools to claim individual tax credits for out-of-pocket expenses incurred for the purchase of instructional materials and classroom supplies. Eligible teachers can receive a credit of up to $250 of any unreimbursable expenses. Every school year, K-12 teachers across California take money out of their own pockets to enrich student learning in their classrooms. Whether in times of state budget shortfalls or surpluses, our selfless teachers face the ever-present need to supplement classroom learning at personal cost because they want to make sure their students have what they need to succeed. For new teachers in particular, their out-of-pocket expenses can be quite a hardship, especially in relation to their salary, which is at the lowest end of the pay cycle. Yet, they willingly incurred these costs to create an engaging curriculum and gather the crucial resources and materials instructed. A concern of this bill is that it will reduce the funding source for schools. Yes, the state's $45 billion commitment to K-12 education and child development programs could and should be greater. However, AB 337, the state's expense would be very small, while the support for beginning classroom educators would be substantial. I ask for you to look at this with an open mind and from another perspective. Regardless of the size of general education funding that goes to schools, good teachers do subsidize the cost of students' learning at personal expense. We have the real opportunity to offer them a modest measure of relief and support for their generosity. AB 337 dedicates resources directly into the classroom where it will help students and teachers most. It will do it in an affordable way and without creating any new or expensive programs. Here to testify in support is Pam Gibbs from Los Angeles County Office of Education and Marcy Green, a principal at Holy Spirit Parish School in Sacramento. Thank you, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Jones-Sawyer. First witness.
Hello, my name is Marcy Green. I was a 15-year veteran teacher in Elk Grove Unified School District, teaching first grade, sixth grade, middle school math. For the past 2 years, I've been the principal at Holy Spirit Parish School, a private K-8 institution with 300 students. Over the years, I've had the privilege of mentoring many student teachers and rookie teachers. Unfortunately, along the way, the teaching profession has lost some valuable members, at the rate of 40% of our teachers within the first 5 years. On a regular basis, teachers purchase incidentals which enhance their lessons and learning environment. Please allow me to paint a picture for you of our teachers' reality. One day you're at the grocery store and add to your cart a couple of bags of rice so that you can demonstrate a lesson on volume. Another day you add a couple of boxes of Fruit Loops or Lucky Charms cereal to add engagement to a lesson on sorting. Oftentimes, new teachers are in the neediest of schools and by nature are compassionate individuals. However, not limited to our neediest schools are our needy students. So on a trip to Target, teachers will remember that Fred's parents have not been able to replace his backpack and needs a binder that will help him organize his materials properly. Jane needs to have a brush and hair ties at school because her newly single dad is having trouble helping her tame her hair each morning. Though these are not necessary purchases, they enhance the relationships that teachers make with their students, thus increasing their students' learning opportunities. Teachers readily incur costs for classes that improve their practice. Each of these classes can cost a nominal amount. However, these too add up. In addition to this, new teachers may be required to pay for BITSA at a cost of $1,500 per year, and CTA dues can cost approximately $1,000 per year. There are approximately 350,000 teachers in California. 85% serve in our public schools, with another 15% serving private school students. But they are all California school teachers. With significant numbers of baby boomers about to retire, California needs to recruit and retain a new generation of teachers. Knowing that school teachers routinely transition between the public and private sector, K-12 school children, it benefits the state to support educators serving both our public and private K-12 school children. Just as the federal deduction for educators has always done, and California's prior teacher tax credit did. There are many good reasons. For example, our public schools couldn't possibly have implemented class size reduction legislation without recruiting significant numbers of private school teachers. AB 337 is intended to support all California teachers. So please honor the profession, validate what educators mean to the history of our country. We need strong, dedicated people to educate our youth. Show them they are appreciated. This would be a wonderful way to identify their sacrifices and give the message that we appreciate you enough to recognize you are supporting your students in so many meaningful ways. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Your next witness.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. Pamela Gibbs, representing the Los Angeles County Office of Education. California's new educators often begin teaching in the most challenging schools with high concentrations of students coming from families who live in poverty. LACO, the Los Angeles County Office of Education, has between 400 and 500 teachers who serve in some of the most challenging environments in education. That includes juvenile court schools, county community schools, and other alternative education settings. They serve pupils in these settings where students' needs are great. On average, teachers spend about $500 for just classroom supplies, nearly $2,000 per educator, according to National Education Association. It could be as much as that cost. Beyond that, teachers often paint and refurbish their own classrooms, as well as pay out money for copies of materials when their allotment of the copy machines has run out. As Assemblymember Jones Sawyer stated, such expenses are a particular hardship for new teachers who serve at the lowest end of the salary scale while still paying off their college loans. And this is after they've already contributed substantial free teaching service in our classrooms as part of their credentialing programs. AB 337 is a well-developed and appropriate response by this legislature to address this problem. AB 337 creates an opportunity to meaningfully support 38,000 new teachers. This bill would leverage a parallel federal deduction with a state tax credit to further support and strengthen new teachers for successful careers in their new profession. I come from a long line of educators. I've watched my mom and her friends purchase classroom materials and instructional materials for as long as I can remember. I also know, and I'm sure you all know as well, teachers today who also make the same contributions. AB 337 is important because it would provide a tax credit to new teachers who are often adjusting to beginning their new careers. AB 337 in some way may even help with recruitment and retention efforts, something that we struggle with in the very hard to reach kids who are attending alternative schools. It's a very demanding and challenging programs, and it's very difficult to recruit people to be in juvenile court schools where the students are incarcerated and where the teachers are in effect incarcerated as well throughout that time during the school day. This direct support of education to those who are closest to the actual teaching and learning will provide an incentive for new teachers to continue their careers in education. So for these reasons, we thank the author for his leadership on this effort and urge your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in support?
Mr. Chair and committee members, Ron Reynolds, California Association of Private School Organizations, in support. Just want to point out, Mr. Chair, that in your home district, there are 40 private schools that are affiliated with our association's member organizations, and that those schools save the people of the state over $124 million annually. Any one of a number of those schools saves the people of the state more than the entire cost were every single qualifying private school teacher to exercise the full amount of the credit, even in the third year of this program where the legislation to be passed. So I strongly urge your aye vote for the bill. Thank you.
Sandra Palacios, as a former public school board member and a former public school teacher, I strongly support this bill and urge your support as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in favor? Anyone in opposition?
Samantha Corbin on behalf of the California Tax Reform Association, regrettably in opposition to this bill. As the analysis rightly mentions, there are better ways to effectively target these funds for many of the things that were just mentioned by the support. We believe that a prioritization through a direct appropriation makes the most sense. In addition, and as the chairs mentioned on other bills here today, we also do not believe that state funds should be used to subsidize private school expenses. For those reasons, we ask for your no vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in opposition? Coming back to the committee. Any questions or comments? Mr. Breaux.
Just a comment, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Jones Sawyer, thank you for bringing 337 forward. We all know that teachers dip into their pocket to do what they can to educate our kids. I'm proud to be a co-author, and I support you fully in this effort. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Breaux. Any other comments or questions? I'll go to myself then. I appreciate the member of the audience who highlighted the 40 schools in my district. I think they're all excellent, and I'm a big fan of all of them. Having said that, we do have a policy question here, which is, which I asked also Ms. Baker, which is it appropriate for us to take general fund dollars that would be otherwise going to public schools and redirecting them to private schools? So I would ask that to Mr. Jones Sawyer or any of the witnesses to answer.
Well, I'll take the first lead on this. I think all our monies are to go to all students, whether in public or private. What's unique about this effort is you can see funds going directly into the classroom, as opposed to when you funnel money down. And I think all of us had this challenge as we start to send billions and billions of dollars down to the local level, to the local schools. Many times we're not sure if it actually gets to the actual student. It may go into administrative costs, building costs. We can go a whole lot of different directions, and we struggle with that. This particular bill, you know for certain, will actually touch every child in California that needs to get an education, and whether it's private or public, school operations. I think at the end of the day, we're all trying to reach every school and every student in California.
Thank you.
Ray Burnell with the California Catholic Conference. I guess just when we look at state tax credits or state tax deductions, we can refer to the 2011 United States Supreme Court case, which determined that these are not state appropriations, that they are not general fund appropriations. What they are is personal tax dollars. And so they're anticipated possible revenue losses, but they're not direct appropriations. And so if there's opportunities to empower an individual on how to place that, and if the money stays within education, as echoed by the Supreme Court and confirmed afterwards, that's seen as a viable, good measure of public policy.
Thank you. Mr. Jones Sawyer would like to close.
Definitely respectfully ask that this could move forward, but I also wanted to add just a personal note. You know, what brought this to me is when I married a teacher, and I realized she spent a lot of her own personal money in our early marriage on classrooms. Her mother, who has 50 years of education, she's still spending money in the classroom. And right now I have a 2-year daughter, a daughter who has 2 years in teaching, and every day she's spending money in the classroom to help her students. So I see this as a direct impact on students that you don't necessarily see in other funding sources.
Great. Thank you for your close. So without objection, we'll be placing AB 337 on suspense.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see Mr. Gallagher here. Do we have an appointment? I'm sorry? Sergeant. With that, since is there anyone from Mr. Gallagher's office here? Okay. With that, we will move Mr. Gallagher's file item 6, AB 9061. Mr. Gallagher, we're doing better now that you're here. I'd like to present AB 961.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. Today I'm proud to present AB 961. And the real impetus behind this legislation is to really trying to encourage investment in California, but also to do so in some of our hardest hit areas, our high unemployment areas, bring jobs and opportunities to some of our disadvantaged communities throughout the state. So this bill would help businesses in California's economy by allocating an additional $50 million to the Cal Competes tax credit program, very successful program. For each fiscal year, the program is funded to be made available only to a taxpayer whose project or business is located or proposed to be located in a county, city, or a metropolitan area with a 10% unemployment rate or higher. In 2013, AB 93 and SB 90 created the California Competes Tax Credit Program as part of the Governor's Economic Development Initiative. And since the birth of the program, the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, the GoBiz department, has awarded 85 companies approximately $60 million to create an estimated 10,000 jobs and generate $3 billion in investment across the state. So as I said, very successful program. In February 2015, GoBiz announced that it received a total of 253 applications with a combined tax credit request of $289 million for the tax credit period that ended on February 2nd, 2015. However, in the 15-16 fiscal year, GoBiz is only authorized to award $151 million. So there's a lot of demand for this program, and we can't meet the kind of tax credit requests that are being made right now to GoBiz. The lack of funding for businesses applying for the credit is limiting the revenues that the state could create if allowed to increase the budget of the program. In the current program, small businesses receive 25% of the tax credits granted right now. While unemployment is considered, there is no similar requirement that we allocate those monies to areas with high unemployment. The program has already created billions in investment across the state. Let's make sure this investment continues, especially for areas that need it the most. So with that, I'll turn it over to the committee.
Thank
Ask
you.
for your aye vote.
Do you have any witnesses in support?
No witnesses today.
Any witnesses in support from the public? Anyone in opposition?
Corbin from the California Tax Reform Association in opposition to this bill. We do agree with the analysis that it is a little too soon to start extending this tax credit when the reporting for the credit itself has actually not been reported. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in opposition? Coming back to the committee, any questions or comments? Seeing no questions or comments, Mr. Gallagher, would you like to close?
No, I'm going to suspense today, but I just ask for your support when this comes back before you on suspense calendar.
Thank you. And without objection, we'll be placing AB 961 on suspense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. And with that, we'll be adjourning the Committee on Revenue Taxation. Thank you very much for coming today.